Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. I wanted to crunch some numbers on Kamigawa versus new Capenna collector box sales. And so, since new Capenna is still in pre release and is not due to be released until April 29th, I believe, and Kamigawa has been out a couple months, I took all these data and on the horizontal axis, I aligned them to the release date at 0. And so you'll see Kamigawa in the blue has about 50 days of history post-release, and New Capenna only comes up in these data that I've taken to release minus 20. It's the red line here. And so release minus 20 is the last complete day of data that I have, which is yesterday, April 9th, 2022. So I pulled down all of the box sales and case sales for both of those and just thought, well, is there anything interesting happening in terms of market demand? And of course, understand that these kind of analyses are always very limited. It's only data from TCG Player, so it misses eBay, Card Market, Channel Fireball, Card Kingdom, local game stores, and you also have the issue with the sales price not including shipping. So there are definitely problems with these kind of analyses. But on something like this, where we're comparing data from TCG Player to other data from TCG Player, at least some of those problems will tend to kind of wash each other out. So a couple interesting things I wouldn't have expected. Weird, just random spikes at times. I wonder what those correlate to. Now, a spike the day before the set releases for Kamigawa right here, yeah, I can understand that. People get excited the day before and they go ahead and want to buy. So that's not weird at all. And then another one of these odd spikes on New Capenna here. And I looked through the granular data, and it was not like one person buying 150 boxes all at once. It was just that day had a whole bunch of individual sales that were all of the normal size of 1 or 2 or 3 or 6 boxes. So for some reason, a bunch of people came to TCG Player on these individual days to buy tons of boxes. So I took a cumulative total from the beginning of pre-release through R-20 for both of these sets. And so Kamigawa had sold 526 boxes up to this point. New Capenna has only sold 473 of the collector boxes up to this point. But something to keep in mind is relative to release date, Kamigawa started its pre-release sales on TCG Player 2 days earlier. And that's why if you kind of squint really hard here, you can see this blue line going further left than this red line. The red line begins right here, which is about, well, it's exactly 2 days later. So when I was kind of looking at all these data, trying to figure out some interesting points to talk about, I went and looked at what are the average daily sales of New Capenna for, say, the last 4 days before today. And it's right at 20 boxes a day. So if you had 2 more days of New Capenna sales added onto these cumulative totals, you would be within about 10 boxes of what Kamigawa had sold up to this point. So that's pretty interesting that the sales rates are pretty close. I mean, they're lumpy in different ways, but the cumulative sales amounts, when you adjust for the different lengths of pre-orders, they're about the same. So what about prices? So again, I took 7-day moving average here. I like to do that because it smooths out anything like a day when nobody buys, or somebody just going ahead and buying a bunch and kind of soaking up the supply in the market real quick and causing the ask price to go up, things like that. So a 7-day moving average will kind of smooth those things out and give you a little nicer looking data. It'll kind of smooth over any of those outliers. What to see here, it's interesting that New Capenna is more expensive on the 7-day average. Now again, the 7-day average contains data that's up to 7 days old. So if you go on the TCG Player right now, a New Capenna pre-order collector box is about $210, $215, something like that. So you can definitely see that it's higher priced, but it's funny to watch it kind of come down with the same shape of curve. And it'll be interesting over the next 10 days to see, is there some kind of spike? Now, this spike, no, it doesn't really correlate to a huge demand increase there. So for some reason, people started piling into the pre-orders and maybe soaking them up. It is interesting to see that the sale price bottoms here right after release. I guess that kind of makes sense because you'd expect a bunch of card stores to suddenly start dumping all their product in person, which would drive down the demand online because people would be getting them locally instead. Are you supposed to take away any hints at what you might do based on these data? I don't know. Maybe after we've done this for several sets in a row, there's also the question of what kind of interesting inserts are in New Capenna, what kind of rumors are going on about those, what kind of leaked information is there. If there are neon parallel chase cards again, and we expect those cards to go to $4,000 again, then maybe we should all be buying hand over fist when it's so cheap as $215 for the pre-order. I don't know. I'm not sure what to tell you about that. So I decided to go ahead and also just add the daily price. Now this is without doing the smoothing for the 7-day moving average. And so you can see it's much more jittery looking data, but it is interesting to see just how close the prices are at this point, release minus 20 as they were for Kamigawa. So we'll see what happens. I think it'd be interesting to just wait till release day and buy then, and we can look back in retrospect and see if release day is maybe a pretty low point in the market. And like I said a minute ago, understandably, it kind of should be because you have a whole lot of card stores who are embargoed by WotC against selling their stuff in person until release day. So release day is the day when just hordes of product gets dumped on the market that card stores are not interested in trying to pre-sale in marketplaces online. So let me know what you think, if you see any interesting correlations in these data that I'm missing. If you have any questions, other sources of data, interesting anecdotes, or what you're going to do, because I'm not really sure what to do here. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot.